I read this book, Barbarians to Bureaucrats, maybe 10 years ago. I contacted the author. I love the book so much. I contacted him because he wrote this in the 70s or 80s, I think he wrote it. I said, I want to buy the rights to your book. He wouldn't sell it to me because somebody else owns the rights to the book. But this explains pretty much everything about societies, organizations, and countries on what causes a country or a company to take off and what causes it to fall. And you'll see how this relates to your business. So let's get right into it. In every business, okay, every company business, there's a prophet. A prophet's the visionary. He comes out, she comes out. They got energy, they're enthusiastic, excitement, inspiration. One day we will. Imagine if one day, that's the vision, that's the excitement. We can one day pull this off, right? So they attract people and somebody says, man, I'm gonna help you go make that become a reality, and that's the barbarian. Then barbarians show up. Barbarians are the SOBs. They're the ones that take no excuses. They are drivers. They're tough to be around because they're constantly driving everybody around them. Sometimes they drive people out, but they're true believers, and the prophet cannot do anything without the barbarian. So think about this from your business where you are right now, which one of them you are at the phase you're currently at. So then after the barbarian, they're going out there. There's a true believer. This person's no longer by themselves. There's like a flag carrier barbarian. Maybe he's not the biggest expert. Maybe he doesn't fully know what to do. Or she doesn't know what to do, but they're willing to go do the work, right? Working 80 hours a week, they're doing that part. Then they attract the builder and the explorer phase. The builder and the explorer phase, this is when specialized skill. I'm going to handle finance. I'm going to handle technology. I'm going to do ops. I'm going to do training. I'm going to do web development. I'm going to do this. It's specialized. People start showing up. So specialized skill, collaboration, people start working together, growth, major recruiting phase, major expansion phase. We need to take this to New York. We need to take this to California. We need to take this to Mexico. Expansion shows up. And then right here is where there's a bit of a challenge, where the administrator shows up next, which you do need the administrator. They come in wanting to help, but the administrator's wired slightly in a different way. These guys, for the most part, are optimistic that we can do anything. These guys, for the most part, are pessimistic or more defense than offense. What if this happens? What if we go out of business? They're more to, what if the bad things? What if we take over the world? But what if we go on? So it's like, it's a very different mindset, right? So the administrator, system, technology, structure, transitioning from offense to defense, that's the first phase where you have, but they still have good intentions. But after the administrator, then this company or this country, like America right now, 246-year-old, whatever the age is, 245-year-old civilization, we've had success, leader of the free world, and then people want to start spending, and bureaucrats show up. They also show up in the companies, okay? And here's how they think. They crucify and they undermine the prophet, barbarians, and builders and explorers. They can't help themselves because I have the degree. Do you know what school I went to? Do you know what I did? That's the mindset that a lot of bureaucrats have. So they lose creativity. Creativity goes away. They brag about what they learned in school. They often convert others into bureaucratic thinking. So they have a hard time converting these types of mindsets into their thinking, but they have an easier time converting them because they're closer to them, if that makes sense. So their job is to convert and undermine. They don't even know they're doing this, but they undermine because they don't like the fact that the company admires these guys as much as they do. Why do people admire them so much? Do you know I got a degree from University of Harvard? Do you know I went to, why are they respecting those guys? I have 10 times the education they do. They kind of come with that mindset, and then they convert, and then they manipulate, divide, and flatter. They flatter them, they convert them here. And sometimes they convert some of these guys here, but they cannot convert the true believers that are on this side. Divide, manipulate, that's their expertise. We have that in politics today, and a lot of companies have that as well. That shows the aristocrat. You know who aristocrat is? Aristocrat shows up. Maybe it could be the founder's daughter that accumulated this wealth and is now like, well, let me tell you what we're going to be doing. And they spend all the money, right? Maybe it's somebody in politics who has never ran a business before, but they want to go tax everybody, spend all the money because they know what they're doing with their new policies. Forget these rich people. Who are these guys? They don't know what they're doing. We are going to come and save everybody, right? They don't talk to people. They don't shake hands. You will rarely see them in meetings. They will go away from talking to the people and the average guys because they're too much above that to go talk to the people. Prophets, these guys are all about talking to the day-to-day people because that's how they build their business. So they inherit the success. They've not earned it. They're distant themselves from everybody. The followers around the corner, and they spend all the money that these guys work their asses off to create. Does this sound familiar to you, right? Now watch this. If you're in this phase of the business here, you're more working in your business, okay? If you're growing a little bit more, you're working more on your business. I'm gonna give you what this role plays. But for you with your business plan, you may be watching the same, Pat, I'm only making $58,000 as a realtor. I'd like to go to $200,000 as a realtor. What do I do? Well, you're working in your business still, okay? You may be running a real estate brokerage shop. You got 22 realtors working for you. You're kind of working still in your business because maybe you're selling a few homes per year, but you're now starting to work on your business. Who do I need to hire next? Do I need a CEO? Do I need a director of ops? Do I need to go pay attention to predictive analytics, data, all this stuff? What do I need to do with that, right? So you're working in versus on the watch. On the inside, it's the day-to-day hiring, firing, training, selling, execution. That's the in. The on-side is strategic planning, research and development, creating systems, creating different partnerships, collaborating, funding, analytics, all of that stuff. That's the on part. I don't know what phase you are, but let me go to the other part about this. If you're at a place where you are here, you better be careful with these guys when you're hiring people. Be very, very selective on how much control you give to who based on what their motive is. Watch very, very closely on who you're hiring. If you give too much authority to somebody that's not going to be a believer in the whole thing, that company is about to collapse, okay? If you give too much, and by the way, you don't have to be a $10 billion company to experience this. This can happen at a $10 million real estate shop office. This can happen at a $5 million small media company shop, right? And this can happen at a $100 million insurance company shop. This can happen anywhere. You got to pay attention to this stuff. So now, in order for this fall to not come to your business, okay, maybe if you're at this phase, good for you. But if you're at this phase, if you don't want the fall to come, you have to do whatever you can to constantly attract and give birth to synergists. Now, who are synergists? They edify and they build up the prophet, they build up the barbarian and the builder and the explorer. So imagine if you're a synergist working at Apple. This is what a synergist at Apple would sound like. Listen, I got to tell you, we are the luckiest people to work at a company like this that was founded in 1976. I think that's the year by 76 or 77. Microsoft is 76 or 77, but let's just say it's Apple. Founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. These guys had an idea. They were 21 years old. They're playing Atari. They're making all this stuff. And they had this idea, and then they go and raise the money, and then this person shows up, that person shows up, this person shows up, and we grew Apple into a $2 trillion company. We would not be here right now without Steve Jobs, without Steve Wozniak, without Now, if you say this, and all of a sudden in the room, you notice a couple people go like this, you just identified the aristocrat and bureaucrat because they can't stand that message, okay? But that's the synergist. They edify what you want more of. You want more of this. That's what they edify. Number two, they resell the vision. Apple was created too, okay? Think different. The 1984 commercial. We don't want to be like IBM. We don't want to be like everybody else. We are different. This is what we're doing. That's the message of a synergist, right? They're reselling the vision. They're re-reminding. They're unifying all the true believers together who are sitting there in the meeting, who maybe were a little bit burned out. They're like, you know what? That's right. That's why I joined this company. That's right. That's why I chose to work with you. That's what a synergist does, right? His or her energy indirectly will cause them to want to consider staying there or leaving. They're expert manipulators, so they're going to try to play their games to try to divide. But if the energy of the synergist goes above the manipulator and the manipulators no longer have any voice, they're going to find a different place to go manipulate because they won't stay here. Okay, I just want you to know this. And if the manipulators leave, they will also attract other people that will leave who think like them, and they will become best friends, having dinners together, conversations together, because they think they were more important than these guys that can't help themselves. Now, here's the most unique thing about the synergist. You know what's the most unique thing about the synergist? The last thing. They become heroes even though that was never part of their plan. They were never trying to become famous. They were never trying to become heroes. They can't help themselves. They so much believe in the cause of your company, your office, your shop, your business, whatever you do. They so much believed in America. They so much believed in the principles that your company, the vision, the mission that was founded on, they can't help themselves but do this without wanting any credit. It's the most unique thing. I remember when I interviewed a chief disguise officer, the main chief disguise officer of U.S. of 28 years, where she built the face of George Bush Sr. and sat in front of him and showed that this is a mask that she created. I said, what is the top quality of a great CIA agent? He said they're charming, they're charismatic, they're exciting, they're great salespeople, great persuaders, great networkers. There's only one thing different about them. I said, what's that? When they saved the free world from World War III, and they know they're the ones that prevented somebody from starting the next war, they don't ever need the credit and they don't ever take the credit. Nobody finds out that they did it. They're behind closed doors, right? That's the synergist. Except in this situation, you can reveal to everybody who the synergist is and build this person up. So if in your company you don't have a synergist, you got to start working on being, sometimes you have to be that yourself before you find somebody else who takes that role. But by the way, if you're watching this yourself and you're in a company, in an office, you want to be the hero, you want to go out there and make an impact, you go speak the language of the synergist and you build up the people that came before you, the prophet, the barbarian, the builder, explorer. So all of these things I just shared with you is to give you an idea how you ought to be thinking depending on the phase you're at and what threats you may be facing going into 2022.